Before we dive into the reasons why Laos has seemingly unlimited concession sales, or as locals might say, selling everything without a thought for the short-term or long-term consequences, let's first look at an article from the Minutia Lao Facebook page. The page posted the following. Recently, the Lao government has been issuing rights of concession to private companies, especially foreign ones, for large-scale development projects. However, the details, decision-making processes, and benefits for the people or the nation have rarely been made public. Information is kept under wraps, and communities on the ground are often only informed after everything has been finalized and signed. This has become the new normal for how Laos manages its resources. Here are two recent examples. The Luang Prabang Special Economic Zone project, 7,400 hectares. The government approved a huge land area for the Chinese company Ruyom Venture Capital to develop a new economic zone in Luang Prabang. This land is where many local villagers live and farm. Yet, the decision-making process didn't allow for public participation. The voices of the community were ignored, and there is no public information about the company's transparency or the project's contract. This has become the new normal for how Laos manages its resources. Here are two recent examples. The Luang Prabang Special Economic Zone project, 7,400 hectares. The government approved a huge land area for the Chinese company Ruyom Venture Capital to develop a new economic zone in Luang Prabang. This land is where many local villagers live and farm. Yet, the decision-making process didn't allow for public participation. The voices of the community were ignored, and there is no public information about the company's transparency or the project's contract. The Huapan Rare Earth Mining Project, 1,600 hectares. The rare earth mine in Huapan is a joint venture between the Lao government and Chinese investors. The mining and extraction process uses chemicals. In the past, similar mining projects in Laos have caused environmental damage and affected communities with water pollution, health problems, and changes to their way of life. This raises important questions. Have the government and the companies involved taken sufficient measures to deal with these risks? And have the local communities been informed about the potential impacts and their rights? These projects reflect old problems. It's clear why these large concessions are fast-tracked while locals have no chance to participate or object. Past and recent concession projects show a lack of transparency, environmental impacts, and land disputes, all while the Lao government and foreign companies fail to announce or show their measures for preventing or addressing these social and environmental impacts. They simply hide the news and hope people forget. The voice of the people. Whose will the nation's resources, the land, water, and forests, belong to in the future? Are these actions truly supporting sustainable development? If the voices of the people are quieter than the interests of capital, who will protect the rights of ordinary villagers? Or will the voices of the less fortunate continue to be ignored? Ultimately, will we be able to protect our country's rights and resources for our children? Or will we let all decision-making power fall into the hands of foreign capitalists without any challenge? It's time for Lao society to stand up, ask questions, and care about the management of our national resources. The government must put the people's best interests first rather than serving only a select few. This concludes the article from the Minutia Lao page. Now, let's get back to the main question. Why does Laos sell concessions without limits, or as some people say, sell everything off without studying the short or long-term pros and cons or considering whether the people will benefit? The real issue is whether the Lao people will lose their economic sovereignty and what the root cause is. The Lao people must honestly acknowledge that this is due to Laos's internal political system, a single-party system where the Lao People's Revolutionary Party is the only party in power. Many people may wonder about the pros and cons of this system, especially regarding important issues like corruption, social equality, and the gap between the ruling class and the general public. The first issue is corruption. In a system with no opposition party and no real checks on power, corruption is often very difficult to solve. Without criticism or a balance of power, those in authority may use this loophole to commit corruption without serious punishment or scrutiny. This harms both the economy and the public's trust in the government. The second issue is equality of thought. In a country with a single party and no opposition, the voices of those with different or dissenting opinions are often suppressed. This means some groups of people don't get a chance to truly express themselves or participate in politics, which goes against the principles of democracy and basic human rights. the equality of thought is neglected and the diversity of society is not reflected in the political system. And finally, the third issue is the gap between the ruling class and the general public. A single-party system gives the ruling class immense power and strength, while the general public has no clear tools or mechanisms to demand their rights or change their status. Social inequality tends to persist, and the gap between the ruling class and the general public grows wider. If left unaddressed, this could lead to future unrest or conflict. In summary, while a single-party system like Laos's has benefits in terms of government stability and speed of administration, there's no guarantee of a good outcome. It also has significant limitations that cannot be truly fixed. Corruption problems that lack oversight, the lack of equality in expressing opinions, the disparity between the ruling class and the general public. I believe some or many Lao people are reluctant to accept these points and might ask, Laos has the same political system as China and Vietnam, so why are they so developed? My short answer is Laos really developed yet? Laos and Vietnam gained independence and founded their countries at the same time, so why are the results so different? The most important thing is a country's discipline, character, and internal culture. It's true that China and Vietnam have similar political systems, but what's vastly different is the culture and character of their people. For Lao people, we often don't respect social rules as a whole. No matter what strict rules or regulations are in place, those in power sometimes break the rules themselves and aren't punished. Furthermore, the character of the Vietnamese and Chinese people is flexible and can adapt to the outside world, unlike the character of the leadership in Laos. In other words, they don't adapt to current global situations, so they can't break free from the cycle or the trap they've created for themselves. A good analogy would be throwing a snake without getting it past your neck. So, how can Laos deal with this problem? The solution isn't difficult. Laos needs an opposition party. When I say this, some Lao people will immediately get angry and stop listening, but that's okay, because even if I don't say it, the truth will remain in Lao society. If an opposition party existed in Lao society, it would create a system of checks and balances. This would be a perfect fit for the character and culture of the Lao people, as I've already mentioned that Lao people don't follow social rules, especially those who run the country. Look at a simple example. Thailand's character and culture are very similar to Laos's. Thailand has an opposition party and a diverse political system with checks and balances. The most effective rule is one from a rival political party that is used as a tool to balance power. That's why it works. If the rules are from a single united party, what's the point? This is why Thai society has been able to develop and solve its internal problems more effectively. Therefore, comparing Laos to China and Vietnam because they have similar governments isn't a fair comparison. Even though Laos's government is similar, its culture and character are not. How could the outcome be the same as China and Vietnam's? All of this is what makes this system a long-term risk. If you don't want to miss new information, please remember to follow me. Thank you.